Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome to the start of my F1 2020 My Team career mode. We are finally here after all the build-up, part number 1 of this new Creator Team career mode in the game. You guys have been voting for a lot of the choices we're going to make at the start of this career. In the part 0, I uploaded just about a week ago now, and so we're going to delve into that, create our team, and then start the journey of trying to get to the top of Formula 1. There's been so much anticipation for this game mode and this series, guys, so be sure to smash the like button if you're looking forward to it. Get subscribed if you're new around here, because I will be uploading this series every single day from now on. So if you're new, get subscribed for all that good stuff. Let's dive into it then and create our brand new team.
Okay boss, Carl here. Let's get this team up and running. The first thing we need to do is register a team name and bring in some important partners. First, enter a team name.
So as was voted by you guys, our team name for this career mode series will be called Aarava Archer Racing. A nice little touch and Easter egg there with the Archer name, back to the Archer team for Motorsport Manager when I first started that game 4 years ago. Obviously that was a manager F1 game. This game mode now has a lot of manager aspects to it, so it's a nice little Easter egg there. And then of course the kind of plain and simple Aarava Racing, nice and professional, so that's going to be the name we're going to rock with.
Now, let's choose our primary sponsor for this season. Some sponsors offer a larger signing bonus up front. Some offer more weekly income. The better we perform, the more our level will go up as the team gains more acclaim. Doing this will increase the income from our sponsors.
The first thing we have to decide upon with this team is our main sponsor. Now, I got you guys to vote on the direction we should go in. So either a massive, large payout, a kind of, realistic sponsor goal, or a happy medium between the two. And that happy medium was the one that kind of paid off. So in line with that, we're going to have a look at all these sponsors and see what's what. So we've got the kind of easier ones on the left-hand side. So complete a full season right at the end, which is a very easy one. Finish 10th or better in the Constructors' Championship, or even 9th in the championship. I feel like those ones are very difficult, because that could be a jump of 10-15 points if you're unlucky. Having looked at the ones around it, we've got finish 8th in the championship, as a team achieve 5 points finishes, which is quite demanding, because that's 5 different races you have to do well enough to get in the top 10. And remember, our car, well, I don't know for sure, but in theory should be one of the worst cars on the grid when we get to that portion, and we can look at the R&D tree. So having a look at the rest of the sponsors available, I think the Shark sponsorship, earning 5 championship points in a season, I think that's a pretty decent goal. We get $4.9 million, which is the 3rd highest payout we can get at the very start of this game, and the bonus goal is pretty achievable, I feel. I think if we get one lucky race where there's a safety car, maybe some rain, a crashing, we could get 5 points in one entire race there and get that bonus on top of the 4.9 million we're going to get. So I think Shark is going to be the best bet in terms of that kind of blend between realism of a sponsorship goal, but also trying to get as high amount of money as we can to kick off the budget.
Our chassis won't be going anywhere fast without a power unit. So let's sign one of those now. Obviously, the better the performance and durability, the better. But be careful about spending all our cash. We're going to have people and facilities to invest in as well. Power unit suppliers will also provide upgrades throughout the season at no extra cost.
So the next very important thing to decide is the power unit. Now, I thought this was going to go one way, and you guys voted the completely other way. So, in my part 0, I explained the logic of maybe going for a more powerful engine, because in history, in the last 2 years of the F1 games, engine power has meant a lot when it comes to career mode versus the AI. But you guys have voted, and you have voted to select the Honda power unit. To be fair, though, I'm not too disheartened by that, because I got tweeted by the actual Honda F1 account, because I tweeted out jokingly at my reaction to you guys voting for Honda, saying, "Give me strength." The actual Honda F1 account then tweeted me saying, "Giving me strength." So, we've got the actual official backing of Honda in Formula 1 for the F1 game. So, I'm not complaining. Mon the Honda, and let's go forward.
We're not much of a team without a second driver. Let's sign a teammate. Here are the drivers interested in joining our team. Look at their stats and pick someone you think can get us good results, as long as we can afford them. Oh, and we renew contracts every few races, so you'll have plenty of chances to sign someone else should the need arise.
So here we are then, the final decision, the teammate selection. We've got $2.6 million to spend on a teammate due to the fact the Honda power unit is actually the cheapest power unit available. So we can choose the top end from this selection. We've been given a random selection. I believe everyone gets a kind of random selection. So your choices might be different to mine, and other creators might be different if you watch their videos. So having a look at it, I didn't want to go for Nick de Vries. I didn't want to spend 2 million of my 2.6 on a driver that, let's be real, I'd probably get rid of on the first chance that I can, because this is the start of the career. You know, we're going to focus on the team, the facilities, and really not worry about having a good second driver until we actually have a car that can really score some good points. So I'm going to look at it as a case of what's the best bang for my buck teammate going here. So having a look at it, we've got a difference of down of 500,000 to then we've got Zoo, but then we've only got one rating lower for Mick Schumacher, and that's a difference of another further 500,000. So that 1 point less for Mick Schumacher makes a massive difference in comparison to from Zoo to de Vries. So I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for Mick Schumacher. I think a lot of people might choose Mick Schumacher just because, of course, his name and the kind of prestige that comes with that. But I honestly think he's one of the best bang for your buck drivers here, at least in my selection that I've got. So I think we're going to just pay a cool 1 million. That means we've still got 1.6 million left over, so we can hopefully use that for facility. So we're going to go with it. We're going to be partnering Mick Schumacher in this first instance of our career mode.
Looks like we can afford this power unit supplier and teammate. Go ahead and confirm if you're happy. Let's select or edit the livery we'll be running this season. We can add more sponsors to the car as we sign them throughout the year. And don't worry, we can edit our look at any time from HQ.
So you've now done the main parts of our team. It's now time to go towards aesthetics with the livery design. We can't quite choose yet how the sponsors will be placed and look at this point in time. We'll have to wait a little bit longer into this episode to choose those. But the base livery we can choose right about now. We've got 5 basic liveries to choose from, and technically you can choose some of the Schumacher and F1 70th birthday anniversary liveries, but I'm not going to, of course. We've chosen a custom livery, and you guys have voted out to choose the white, black, and Brawn GP neon green and yellow paint scheme. So out of the 5 basic liveries we've got, we can get more as we play on and go through this game with the podium pass. If you haven't seen that, more liveries get unlocked as you play the game with the podium pass. I'm recording this video ahead of time, so the podium pass has not been unlocked for me, unfortunately, yet, but in the future it will be unlocked, and I will be able to try and earn some XP to get some better liveries. But for now, we have to choose between these basic 5 liveries. I'm gonna kind of basically just choose one of these right now and wait until I can customize the sponsors, and, you know, choose the colors and the placement of the sponsors, basically, because that will also kind of, you know, massively change how the livery looks. So for now, we'll just go with this second one along. Pretty nice pattern, but at the moment it's not really got any neon green on it, but that will come in a bit later down the line once we can actually customize the sponsors on it. So don't be worried about that, guys. There will be some neon green on that soon enough, but let's move forward then with the rest of the team building.
Now we need a badge for our team branding. Select an existing badge, edit it, or create one from scratch.
Now we come to the team badge then. So when it comes to creating your team badge, you can select a load of backgrounds that are different shapes. I personally didn't want to go for a background shape because the kind of logo emblem I had in mind didn't really suit any of the backgrounds personally for me. I'm going to go for this A, which has also got a lightning bolt in it, and you can change the color of the lightning bolt. So I thought it'd be quite nice to have the lightning bolt in that neon green, and then go for the A, the rest of it in just white, as we've got it kind of going part and parcel with the car design we've got. You can change also the kind of style of each logo in terms of the shading, the 3D nature of it. So I've gone for that kind of very, very graphic 3D on the lightning bolt there. And you can see changing it to neon green, and we'll keep the A, the rest of it, in white. I think a very nice kind of hybrid of what we got going on, like a nice snazzy electric bolt, and then obviously A for aarava or archer as well.
Last but not least, we need to pick team colours for the rest of our branding. You'll see these colours throughout HQ.
And then finally going to swap over the team colours to neon green, black and white.
Great, that's everything we need. You can go back and edit anything we've done so far, and we'll come back here at the start of each season. But if you're ready to go, hit advance to head to Team HQ, and we can start our push to the top of Formula 1.
So the team foundations have been laid out and formed, but ahead of the car reveal and all that good stuff with the management of pre-season, Will Buxton's here to talk to us about the team first and foremost.
5, 4, 3. Hello folks, and welcome to the HQ of Formula One's newest team. We've been invited backstage to gain an exclusive insight into what could be one of the most exciting entries in the sport for many years. Now, we've seen a number of new teams enter the sport over the last decade, amongst their number Manor, Caterham, HRT and of course Haas. And while some have proved to be successful, others have morphed into different teams and some have disappeared completely. What marks this team out, though, as being something different is that its owner is also its driver. Now, there's a rich history of that in Formula One too. Sir Jack Brabham, John Surtees, Graham Hill and Bruce McLaren all drove their own cars in the sport, but it has become increasingly rare in recent years. What's very special about this team, though, is that while the team itself is new to Formula One, so too is its driver and owner.
Whatever happens this season, you've already made the history books. Tell me, do you feel up to the mammoth task of both managing and driving for a Formula One team?
So this starting interview with Will is quite important because the answers you give could kind of give preference to certain departments and how your team morale and which departments are looking better at the very start of the season. So you've got to pick your kind of words wisely. So with this kind of question, I wanted to go for one that was kind of bigging up the team. You know, it's not just about me, it's about the team. Hopefully try and keep morale as high as I can because at this stage I didn't really know what was going to trigger what at this stage of the questioning.
Every team needs two drivers. But what was it that drew you to your teammates?
And the same thing with the teammate question here. Why did I choose Mick Schumacher? I wanted to try and, flatter him. Basically, I don't know if it was going to, increase or decrease his morale or his rep or per se how he would perceive me. So just went with kind of, saying that on paper he looks good. He has potential to maybe grow, even though obviously we don't know. We're going to keep him for a while, but let's just keep him happy at this stage. Just say, he's got good potential.
No one aims to finish bottom of the table. Who's the team you're aiming to beat?
Now, this was quite a spanner in the works question. I didn't think they were going to ask a question like this, and this was quite peculiar because obviously at this stage, I don't really know what the team performances are. And also, you've got to remember, guys, I'm recording this. I've got early access to this game a little bit ahead of time. So the final car performances, they're not final right now. They will be, hopefully, once you guys get your hands on the game come Friday on the full release here. So for me, I wasn't too sure. But in terms of looking at the answers, I kind of got drawn to the AlphaTauri message. AlphaTauri, Toro Rosso, last season in 2019, they had a mega year. They had some surprise races. And think back to the sponsor we just chose, the 5 points earning. I said we're hoping for maybe a surprise race. It kind of goes hand in hand with what Toro Rosso did last season. So I kind of felt drawn to picking the AlphaTauri answer, even though at the same time I wanted to keep it realistic and maybe choosing Williams would have been a kind of more realistic, grounded option. But you know what, let's have our heads in the cloud a little bit. Let's kind of aim high, and so I went with the answer with AlphaTauri.
How are you expecting the car to feel out on track?
With this question, there were many ways to go, once again, but straight away, I saw the answer for the traction at the corners. That's always something that is an issue for me. You guys will know sometimes I can get a very loose rear end and get a lot of oversteer through plenty of corners, so I thought I'd go for the answer with rear traction. Hopefully that's going to be decent. I don't know if that's going to, signal anything. Hopefully it does. I think it goes on to signal a good morale boost for the aero department.
The other teams now have years of experience, both on and off the track. How are you planning to catch up to them?
Fuel loads, I think. Fuel loads. This question was interesting, and it was a good answer here on the right-hand side with fuel loads, because we've got the Honda engine. We might be a little bit down on power compared to others, and fuel load, I think, is going to be very important this year, due to the fact that we don't have the, obviously, manual ERS system. It's auto-deployed. All we can do is the overtake button, so I think fuel mode is going to be even more crucial in terms of when you're putting it into rich mix, standard, and lean. So I want to try and complement the kind of fuel side of things, and hopefully get a kind of added perk on the engine department.
Overtaking is a key part of this sport. How have you ensured that your car can take advantage of each opportunity that comes your way?
Developing a light car, I think. In previous career modes, a light car on the chassis weight has been very, very useful because mid-corner, it means you've got a very light car, very movable. Into the corner, you've got more response, and also out of it, the acceleration is better. So I thought we'd go the answer with, we're developing a light car, hopefully, and that will also boost the chassis. So you can see in all these answers, I've done quite a nice spread of things. In hindsight, maybe could have done, leaning towards one department specifically, but I honestly felt like I wanted to give these answers. It just happened to basically hit every single department of chassis, aero, and engine. So I've got quite an equal morale, I feel, going into this new season then.
And finally, which of your new departments are you most proud of?
And then this was the final big question. This will probably determine which department of mine starts off a little bit better than the other departments. And I just had to go for the engine power. Say that the team have been great at installing the power unit just to make sure that we're not hindered too much with the Honda power. I don't think we will. I think, like I said, on paper, yes, the Honda power may be the worst in the game. But I think actually in reality, it's going to be quite close and not as far as the stats may say. But just wanted to kind of pay that out. And like I said, I do feel like anyway, no matter what engine power unit you choose, engine power is probably one of the most crucial at the start of the game. So we're going to go with that and complement the engine side once again.
Well, that's about all we've got time for here. We will see how this fledgling team fares in its first Grand Prix.
So now it's time to get familiar with the brand new HQ kind of facilities and menu in the My Team career mode. We've got this kind of timeline menu where we've got to balance out the kind of activities going on, resource management, the R&D and the money in terms of where we're spending it, in what kind of department. And then we've got the acclaim as well. Acclaim is a massive thing in this game. You have to get acclaim in terms of your personal driver, your teammate, and also then the team as well. And all those will boost your kind of potential to grow the team, because with more acclaim comes more money, and i.e. better funds, better facilities, and then a better car.
It's important to use the time between races to the fullest extent, and that's where these activities come in. Manage everyone's time as efficiently as possible to maximize the team's performance.
So in this game now, we've got a very kind of FIFA kind of almost style system where you've got a calendar, you've got time to be used, and we can choose the activities we want to do essentially. So I'm going to go ahead and choose power and durability. That's going to take 7 days. And then there's the car reveal. Unfortunately, the car reveal is kind of awkwardly placed, so I can't really do anything just before then. But after the car reveal, there's 5 days till the first race. So I thought I'd slot in a pre-season merchandise sale to get us some extra funds essentially to potentially invest in a new department in terms of, you know, get the ball rolling early essentially, because there's no point kind of waiting around. We may as well start spending the money straight away of trying improving you know, our HQ facilities. So we're going to see an improvement a little bit on the morale and everything like that, on the power and durability. A little bit of a deficit there on the air and chassis, but we can make up for that a little bit later on.
This is where you can view our current facilities and the effects they're having on the business. You can also invest some of our cash into upgrades for these facilities.
So like I just said, with that pre-season merchandise sale, we'll get some even more money, and so that should make us maybe take us just over $2 million, and so we can start spending things on one of these departments. We've got 6 now, the kind of 4 car ones, and then personnel and marketing. I've said it before, I really feel like we should invest early in the marketing department, but when I mean early, I kind of mean relatively early. Obviously, it's so early days. We have to focus on the car right now. But I'm thinking within, hopefully, the first half of the season, we definitely do some upgrades on the marketing department. But for now, we'll focus on the car. I wanted to kind of look around the menus, give you guys a good look at what we've got going on. So we've got the R&D part. This is the kind of familiar part of the menus. It's the same from normal career mode. So we've got the R&D tree. At the moment, we've got 1 upgrade on each part of the tree, because obviously I answered those questions. You know, I answered each question once, at least on the chassis, aero, and engine. So if you're wondering, those questions really do mean a lot. You know, those answers literally give you 1 free upgrade. So if you were to answer 3 questions all to do with engine, you'd get 3 engine upgrades. But I've quite nicely got a good spread of 3 on 1 engine, 1 aero, 1 chassis, which I really like. But obviously the aero department, if you saw before, compared to the other departments, I've already got 1 step level above on the engine department in our HQ. So that means things like the failure time is a little bit less on the engine side of things. The speed is maybe a little bit quicker on the engine upgrades compared to the chassis and aero. So that's why it's important in this year's game to invest in the HQ, because it will ultimately mean it's quicker and cheaper to get things done for your actual car upgrade. You can see right now 1.6 million in the bank. Obviously had a net spend of 3.3 and we had 4.9, so 1.6 to start off with. Pretty decent tally. I'm not going to spend any of it right now. I'm going to wait till after the first race just to see where I think it's worthwhile spending, basically, because there's no point going in blind and just spending money kind of willy-nilly. But what I am going to do is I'm going to spend R&D points on the car straight away. We're going to go ahead and purchase just a minor engine power upgrade to kick things off, because, like I said, I think engine power is very important at the start of the game, so let's focus on that early doors, try and get that in early. That will take a little bit of time, though. That'll be ready for the Vietnam Grand Prix, the 3rd round, so it still won't be with us for a while, but we need to get it in early, obviously, because otherwise just be wasting time, basically. But now we come through to the very new part of the game, where we can kind of go through the calendar, and for the first time you can physically see the date and the month of the kind of point of the year we're in, basically, in the career mode. So as we go through, you're going to see we're going to get weekly resources and things like that, and R&D points and money as we come through, and then obviously you'll see kind of updates of the car of when certain parts are made and whatnot, and then we come to the car reveal, and you're about to see the brand new snazzy car reveal on the pedestal, and the car looks very different to what I chose, because I did go in and I finally chose the kind of sponsor colouring, so I went with the actual first livery we're able to decide, which was the one that had way more neon green, because I feel like obviously you guys voted for the kind of Brawn GP look. At this stage, this is the best thing I think we can go for. Unfortunately, we have only these very 5 basic liveries, but once we get a much cooler livery, I'm going to go for that one, because I want it to not be a mimic of Brawn GP. I want it to kind of be an evolution of like this kind of slick black and white with some accents of neon green. But at this stage, out of the first 5, I thought this was the best looking, especially from the front of the car, and also crucially on board, this was the only livery that had a different coloured halo to the chassis, and that was important for me just because I'm kind of, OCD like that. I just prefer to have 2 different colours of the halo and the chassis, just because I'm going to be looking at the T-Cam for so long, because I didn't want the same colour. So that's kind of also why. But also, to be fair, it's grown on me a little bit. The neon on the sides and the front is pretty damn nice. So as he went through, it's now time nearly to go to the Australian Grand Prix, but I realised actually there was some more R&D points we got actually in that pre-season phase as we launched the car, so I thought we may as well spend them, because, I've already spent some money on R&D points, sorry, on the air... I've already spent some R&D points on the engine, so I thought I'd go ahead and spend some R&D points on the aero and the chassis. Now, these 2 departments have higher failure rates compared to the engine department, so there is a good chance they fail. There's a 40% failure chance on both the aero and chassis, because we didn't, obviously complement them as much as the engine side. We can obviously upgrade these things, and that can be improved, as well as obviously talking about them in interviews and the morale going up that way. So there's a good chance they fail, but we've got to go for it. There's no point just being scared of failures. At some point, we just have to try and purchase them, and just fingers crossed they don't fail, but there's a good chance they do, because they're nearly to 50%. Finally, before we go on towards practice and the actual running of the first weekend Australia, just wanted to show you the very slick and awesome looking menus in this year's game with the HQ. You can kind of zoom into every department in the HQ, and you get this really cool little vista and world behind us of the mechanics working on the car, the engineers doing their thing. But you can see the upgrades we can do on fabrication, build time, quality control, things with the personnel like the simulator, fitness center, analyst suite, and then things like with the marketing department is things like the activities management and sponsor relations, but all those cost a lot. You're talking like 2 million per upgrade, so money is king in this game. R&D is important, but I think the actual dollar, the amount you have money cash-wise to spend on the HQ, is the most important thing. So I'm hoping we can get past this first race and straight away start signing some sponsors. But hopefully that was a nice overview then of everything new and everything management style in my team career mode, guys. Hopefully you appreciated that I kind of went through and kind of explained everything, showed everything to you guys. But enough of that now. It's time to get into the actual racing. Let's go into practice, and it's time to go out for the very first time in our brand new aarava Archer Racing Formula 1 car.
Morning, boss. Jeff here. Thanks again for bringing me on board. You've found a lot of talented people for this team. I can't wait to see what we can accomplish. Our journey to the Constructors' Championship starts here today, and the car is ready to head out whenever you are.
Let's just drive out, and let's just kind of experience taking our own F1 car out onto the track for the very first time.
Okay, the track is green right now, so take a few laps to get the tyres up to temperature. Try and feel your way around.
so cool. And you know what? I'm glad we picked the livery with the two different colours for the halo and the chassis. I like that difference of the black halo on the white chassis body, and also the neon green sponsors there, shark on either side, looking lovely. And to be very out on track, even though it's not the best livery in my opinion, it's still pretty decent, I think, in terms of a custom livery, but definitely looking forward to those better ones that we can unlock with the podium pass. But since we already did so much admin stuff with all the creation of the team and the management at the very start of this episode, guys, we're just going to dive straight into it and not bore you with the details from practice and go straight towards Q1, our very first qualifying session with our brand new car and team. There it is, looking lovely. I love the fact it came up in the cutscene there. I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but here we are then, driving our car for the first time in anger in Q1. The sun's come down, it's qualifying time. It's that usual unfortunate sunset that gets in your eyes, but it's good to be back in the career mode world here, but especially so with our own car. This is just unreal, to be fair, that we've just got our own machinery. And to be fair, feeling wise, you can tell obviously it's a brand new car. It's one of the lower down cars. It doesn't have quite the same downforce as the kind of top 3 cars I was driving in some of the preview videos, but to be fair, high speed, actually very planted as you'll find most cars in this game. But you can see there, with the mistake I made on the first flying lap, this car is very loose on the low speed. A lot of understeer, very shaky, so it was easy to make a mistake there. So the first run was just a banker lap, so we now go for a second flyer, already about 1.5 tenths up though in the first sector. So to be fair, I'm gaining time on top of the time I'll gain from just taking this last few corners correctly, because you can see no mistake there now through the left-hander, then through the right, getting up the gears and on the power as early as we can through the last corner. DRS open there, ERS obviously just on hot lap mode, locked onto that, so across the line, 1.5 gain there, and we go P16 just ahead of our teammate Mick Schumacher then. So both of us equally matched there, but we're now going to go for a third and final run. Checkered flag is out. We're 2.5 tenths up there, so the track's getting faster and faster as we go on through this session, as the sun comes down here in Melbourne, as we come through the last few corners, hopefully not making any more mistakes, getting some more time there, 3 tenths up through the last 2 corners, nice rotation through the left, then the right there, get on the power as early as we can, getting some more time there, nearly 5.5 tenths gain there. We've been flying on this last lap across the line. We were in P20 initially there, and we get ourselves up into P17 with our last flying lap there. So all in all, pretty decent first lap ever in this aarava Archer racing machine. We're knocked out in Q1. I wasn't too surprised at that. I kind of expected that, but we were just out of Q1. We could have made it through into Q2 if we just gained maybe 2 more tenths. So that's quite promising, and compared to Mick Schumacher, did quite well. We moved down to P20 initially after the second flying lap, so I was worried that that was where the pace was, but finding that extra few tenths in the last lap there was very promising indeed. So looking forward to the race. To be fair, you know, race-wise, expectations, let's be real, it's just going to be a good race if we can finish ahead of Mick Schumacher. It's the first race in our brand new car, you know, from scratch, not expecting points, not expecting even a top 15 finish, to be honest. Just looking to beat Mick Schumacher, hopefully have some nice battling out there, and just go out and experience our very first My Team career mode race in F1 2020. Let's go.
Months of rumour and speculation all come to an end today, as we return to Melbourne for the opening race of what promises to be an enthralling season. Welcome along then to the Australian Grand Prix. Just south of Melbourne's downtown business centre is the one and only Albert Park circuit. 3.3 miles of public roads, closed for the weekend of course, make for a bumpy circuit with little undulation. There are 16 corners around the lake and a couple of good passing opportunities here as well, thanks in part to the DRS zones into turns 1, 3 and 13. Can Mercedes start with victory in their bid to win a 7th consecutive Constructors' title? Could Ferrari or Red Bull establish an advantage early on? And with 22 cars on the grid, how quickly can the new team find their footing? Well, it's great to be back, Anthony Davidson. We've got a lot to talk about this year.
That's right, Crofty. It felt like a long winter, but it's good to finally be back. I have to think the usual suspects will battle it out at the front, but there are always going to be some teething problems early on in the season, so whoever can keep on top of their issues will have the advantage today.
As I mentioned earlier, we're up to 11 teams this season, with a new entry run by, well, of all things, an owner-driver. That's something we haven't seen in this sport since Hector Rabac over 4 decades ago. So how are they looking so far?
It's hard to imagine how a small operation like that could survive in the ruthless world of Formula One. And yet here they are, first ever race looking surprisingly strong. But there are no points for qualifying. Let's see how they fare in the Grand Prix proper.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Sebastian Vettel will start on pole. Fantastic qualifying from the multiple world champion. And it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Hamilton, Max Verstappen and Albon, Norris, Sainz, Giovinazzi and Esteban Ocon, Raikkonen, Magnussen, Romain Grosjean and Stroll, Perez, the owner-driver, Pierre Gasly and Daniel Ricciardo. They've taken a grid penalty. Kvyat, Schumacher, Latifi and George Russell ends our grid lineup. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So we actually moved up into P16 thanks to Daniel Ricciardo having a grid penalty. So one freebie already to kick off the career mode. Always happily take it. Strategy-wise then will be, well, one stop either way. It looks like from a soft to hard tyre or the medium to hard, which I'm surprised at. So I'm a little bit kind of fishy about kind of the strategy and what the AI might actually do, because that's a little bit odd to see a one-stop suggested in both regards, just with a different starting compounded tyre. But, you know, obviously I've got no other data to go off apart from this, so we'll just stick with it and see how we go. I think it's just best to start on the fastest tyre, because it's just such an unknown. It's the first time out in this car, so I may as well just go with the fastest tyre I can at the very start, and then we'll just see how it plays out, and then we'll learn from that as we go on. It's very much a kind of learning race in this first one. As much as I want to try and do well, of course, it's just a massive kind of learning curve of how this car will react to the tyre wear, the downforce versus other cars, dirtier, etc. So, yeah, so all that good stuff to come, though. Let's just get into this then. The very first race of our My Team career mode here on F1 2020. Here we go then to 5 red lights for the Australian Grand Prix, driving our own Formula 1 car. Fire lights are out and we're underway, and it's a good start for us compared to Lance Stroll. Bogs down quite a fair bit. Grosjean slow off the mark. Perez round the outside. It's 3 wide as the 2 Racing Points pinch him into turn 1. We're just taking a nice easy turn, trying to suss out where we can find some space here on the right or the left. We're going to try the left-hand side using overtake mode, trying to press through, but down the inside goes Pierre Gasly with a massive dive there. The Frenchman gets, I think, 4 cars in one go there as he found a massive tunnel on the inside there on the right-hander. Meanwhile, we're still stuck in P16, just about navigate Sergio Perez on the left-hand side and narrowly missing his rear end, going full lock on the right-hand side, and he's actually a little bit slow here as we can get off the mark, press that overtake button, push ahead, squeeze him out very aggressively, and we're up into P15. Needs must, obviously lap 1. It's all fighting for themselves, and so we've got very opportunistic there with Perez being a little bit slow. Although remember, of course, little asterisks, these aren't the final car performances, so by the time you guys get your hands on it, there may be a patch to change the performances, and I'm sure there will be a patch later down the line in the coming weeks for a proper performance patch. So at the moment, I feel like the Racing Point cars are a little bit slower than they might be in real life, but obviously still just making the most of it there as Perez got caught up behind his teammate Lance Stroll, and obviously we made the most of it, obviously trying to find the room. But the biggest winner there was Pierre Gasly. He overtook like 5 cars in one corner in Sector 1 there, and the AlphaTauri is now way up the orange, like P10 I think that is. So that's what I kind of maybe should have done, but we got kind of boxed in on the inside. But now we have a look at Lance Stroll early doors, lap number 2, no DRS, remember, just trying to use the overtake button to good use there, and he's a little bit slow, but he kind of cuts us off a little bit on the exit of turns 1 and 2 and remains in P14. Probably could have picked a better racing line here, but still getting used to the car, moving it about, and definitely there's that lack of, you know, pinpointness that I was used to with the top cars in the preview videos of this game, whereas this kind of lacks that kind of sharpness. So kind of getting used to kind of when to brake, basically, especially with the heavy fuel as well. And you can see there in high speed on the exit, the little wobble as well. It's not as secure as I want it to, but obviously as we play through this season and this entire career, we'll add downforce, add the chassis weight and whatnot, and we'll turn this car into a beast. But right now, we might be fighting for the wooden spoons of, you know, P15 and 14 here as we continue on trying to close up to Stroll. I feel like we've used an okay amount of overtake mode so far, about 84% there, so quite conservative really at the moment, but I want to try and use it a little bit more as we're now caught up in this train of Gasly, Giovinazzi, Stroll, and trying to pushing Stroll through these corners. We go for a half-hearted attempt on the overtake. Instead, though, the Canadian himself then goes for the overtake overtake on Giovinazzi there. So as I try around the outside, he goes to the inside, the Italian, and so now onto the net straight. DRS open for both of us, but will the Canadian get the pass on the Italian? Not quite. Alfa Romeo pretty okay in a straight line. Of course, remember, Gio's probably using his overtake mode to defend just as much as you can use it to overtake. So like we saw last year and again into this year's game, the AI improving in terms of how they defend and how aggressive they can be and how clever they will be. So, traffic's going to be another issue once again in this year's game, especially in the kind of first part stage of this career mode where we can't fly past them with like a low drag setup or a very light car in a straight line. So at the moment, frustrated and trying to suss out where on earth we can try and pass Stroll. And to be fair, through these few corners, this right-hander, I really get a decent exit off here, and I'm going to use overtake mode straight away, squirting that on the exit curb, using it all the way down this stretch. Stroll goes defensive. We're going to try and dive around the outside. He gives us the room, and we go the long way around, skating across the curb on the left, and we're up into P14. So a very decent overtake there. Stroll loses a lot of time being pinched into the apex, and so he's got his teammate Perez for company there, but that took quite a few laps there, lap 5, to suss out, that's the point I feel like where we're maybe the strongest, kind of the mid-speed corner, not low speed where the car doesn't have any kind of turn in with the understeer, and not high speed where the car's obviously lacking downforce compared to some of the other cars around it. So kind of a happy medium between the two, and allowed us to kind of use the traction we've got there. I guess maybe the traction question I answered at the very beginning of the episode, maybe that's kind of paid out dividends, because to be fair, the car does actually have some decent traction. It's just the fact that I can't actually get the oomph then off a straight line, because everyone's obviously using overtake mode to good use. I'm sure the AI, I've said it before, the AI are going to be pin perfect at using overtake mode, and you can see they're using a little bit mistakenly, a bit too early as we get the rear end stepping out. And now on the bottom right, you can see we're down to nearly single figures on the ERS. So lap 8, we went from using it conservatively to using a little bit too much now. So now I'm going to try and save some ERS, because otherwise we'll be a little bit in danger. Not at the end, not just only in the end of this stint, but also later on the race. I need to make sure I've got enough for that second stint, as we're going to pit around lap 10. So we've got about 2 laps to go as we move on to lap number 9. But at this stage now, Giovinazzi pulling away a little bit, as my engineer tells me Giovinazzi's pulling some time, and Stroll is closing up to us somewhat. So we're kind of ebb and flowing in this Grand Prix. At this stage, I don't really know exactly where we're going to be at the end of this race. P14 right now is pretty damn amazing, I would say, considering, it's our own car from scratch where we qualified, but obviously we still got this second stint to go. And speaking of that, here we come now into the pits on lap number 10 for that one and only pit stop in this Grand Prix onto a set of hard tyres. I'm still a little bit, skeptical about this strategy. I don't really know why the one stop's recommended on both cases. I feel like we maybe could have gone onto medium tyres, but that's obviously everything you can say in hindsight. So, we'll learn for next time, maybe for Bahrain, and, we'll see how these hard tyres go. But in general, you guys know me, I generally hate the hard tyres. I love a good aggressive two-stop strategy, but it just may not be, the right way to go here. So we'll have to see about that as we come out behind Latifi, the Williams car, who I think he's yet to pit in this Grand Prix, because he's on a set of medium, so I think he's yet to pit. So hopefully we'll catch him up soon enough and pass him rather quickly. Otherwise, we may lose a little bit of time there. Teammate in the pit lane, Schumacher is in. Haven't seen too much of him. I believe he was caught up behind the 2 Racing Point cars we're fighting, of course, and also the other AlphaTauri of Kvyat before the pit stops. Here we go for the move on Latifi there. DRS open, overtake mode also, and rich mix. But look at that. Sergio Perez, unfortunately, coming out ahead of us there. So the overcut's worked out for him, and the Racing Point clearly has the bit of pace in clean air, as Perez has used that to good use to get ahead of us. But we've got a good run here, and we're going to go for the dive on the inside. Perez locks up there. That allows us to have the room. We're now neck and neck, side by side for the next left-hander, the long way round, and we get the job done as Perez backs out that. So a very nice pass on the Racing Point car. But we're on the hard tyres, and he is on the mediums. He's got good pace here as he tries to overtake us. We defend successfully for now, lap 12. But this is what I mean. I feel like maybe we just were blindsided by the fact that we could have maybe done a soft to medium strategy, because clearly Perez thinks he can do that. And I'm not going to lie, at this stage now of the GP, this car feels like a very different one to the one we were just driving in stint 1. It feels really horrendous. There's no turning. The bite-in response on these tyres is so bad, so it just kind of backs up my point of I just never like the hard tyres on this game, especially at circuits like Albert Park. And now here comes Perez with DRS there, and even with overtake mode for me to try and defend, he's got that place, although he's a little bit slow. Bit of a snake there as we make some contact. We're going to use overtake mode to go around the outside now in sector 3, and we've made it through. We're going to be side by side through the last 2 corners. Maybe he's on the right, we're on the left. Lock up again, and we're trying our best to stay on the left-hand side of him there, but he scrubs us off wide. And look at Stroll come through as he makes some contact there. So both Racing Points are really gunning for me now. We've not got DRS, I don't think. No, we don't. Just overtake mode. No one got DRS there for some reason. I think we were both awkwardly at the detection point at the same time, so no one got benefit of that. So on lap 14 then, we've lost that P15 position, and we might lose P16, as now Stroll has gone from the right to the left there. He's kind of trying to bully his way through. He's making some contact with us on the left-hand side twice there. Deja vu's. We were on the outside of a Racing Point car, that same corner, and for now, we live to fight for another day, but Stroll's really on the back of us now, and like I said, it's just getting from bad to worse. These tyres are horrendous, and look at the understeer there. So poor on that entry. Massive tank slapper, and Stroll's down the inside. It's a fantastic move for him, and now Kvyat's got us there. We're getting swarmed by everyone. Maybe this is the true pace of our car now, as well. We're getting nearly overtaken by Kvyat. We get him back, though, but Stroll with a really nice overtake, to be fair to him there, kind of saw me have that little snake on the rear and just darted down the inside, very much like I did to Sergio Perez, if you remember, on the opening lap, I think it was, in that same place there. So fair play to him, but we're now losing massive pace, and now you can see in clean air, clearly the Racing Point cars were always faster than me. It's just about that earlier on in the race, I was holding them up quite a fair treat. So in lap 15, we're losing pace with them, and we're comfortable in P17. It's going to be P16 now, as Raikkonen is out of the Grand Prix with an engine failure just in front of us there. So getting one free position in this Grand Prix. Only 21 runners in this race then, as now Kvyat goes for a move on the left-hand side into the high-speed chicane. He gets it done even before we get to the apex there. Can we try anything on the exit? Little bit skirmish on the rear. Open DRS, overtake mode. Rich mix going, even though we're in negative fuel now. And can we make the dive bomb down the inside? Slow it down? Yes, we can. What a move there on Kvyat, but it's going to be short-lived, because on lap 17 then, he comes knocking yet again. And look at this. I squeezed him so much to the inside, but he keeps on coming and pretty much bullies me out of the corner and out of the position there. AI, so aggressive. I don't know if it was just that particular moment, or they're going to be that aggressive throughout the entire career mode. If they are, we've got to get really toughened up, because literally Kvyat just bullied me out of the place there. I thought I'd done enough to squeeze him out, but he just got the elbows, forced me nearly off circuit there, and so we're down to P17, and instead, for the last 9 laps of this Grand Prix now, fighting Grosjean to just remain in P17. So we've definitely lost a lot of pace in this second stint compared to the first. I feel like if you've kind of noticed on the heads-up display, if you're kind of paying attention, I think a big factor is the fact that I actually maybe underestimated how kind of much fuel we actually needed. I kind of lowered it down to 1+ of fuel. In hindsight, maybe should have carried in 2 laps of fuel, because right now I'm on the edge. I'm going negative. I'm having to go into lean mixture, and like I kind of said, I should take my own advice. Like I said earlier in the episode, I think rich mix is so much more powerful now, because we don't have that manual ERS. So every time I'm in lean mixture, I felt like the AI right on the back of me. That was the case with Kvyat. I was in lean mixture when he overtook me. Even though I was trying some ERS mode, it just wasn't working out for us. And now Grosjean's attacking us. We're having to get the elbows out and basically do what Kvyat did to me and squeeze them out quite a fair bit on lap 24 there. So basically parking the absolute stadium on every single apex, trying to maintain this. But you can see it's also not just the fuel and the ERS though. It's just the fact that these tires were so bad, to be fair. Like, you can see just how awkward I am mid-corner here, as now we can see Kvyat is actually retiring though. Oh, what a shame for him though. After having a great battle with him, fair play, he actually made a wonderful move on me, an aggressive move. He's out of the Grand Prix, so we get one more free position up into P16 then. So can we finish where we started this race in P16? We qualified P17 technically, but we started P16, so can we finish there? We've got 3 laps to go, including this one, as Grosjean comes knocking once again on the outside. There we go, toe-to-toe through the right-hander, squeeze him out, leave him some room there, but then take the racing line through the next right-hander. But he's going to be there for the next DRS straight, of course, in this corner, especially on these hard tyres. So awkward having to go first gear, but then the rotation just puts me off there. The rear end steps out. Grosjean's down my inside through the last corner already, so he squeezes him right to the line, to the wall, to the grass there, trying to make his line very awkward. We now move back to the racing line. He brakes and tightens up his own corner. We switch back to the right hand side, get it around the outside to get back up into P16. So some wonderful battling here with Romain Grosjean, albeit for only P16, but it's got to be done. Got to try and get the most most out of it and just kind of fight for pride at this stage, basically, where the car is, as we now move through to the last lap of the Grand Prix. Bit of an oversteer moment again on the exit. The leader has already finished. Charles Leclerc will win the Australian Grand Prix as Grosjean's round again, and this same corner, we're going to squeeze him out and basically just not give him any room to work with there. Kind of take a leaf out of Dan Kvyat's book, basically, from that corner, and then we swing through the last few corners now of this last sector. Can we get P16? It's still not over. We've got little to no ERS left, some fuel to use. Grosjean trying around the outside again. We go defensive on the inside and keep that place, and that should be it, hopefully, as long as we just don't go too wide in the last two corners. Easy does it. Try and slow down the car, don't get the rear end stepped out, and so we come through the final right-hander. We'll literally run out of fuel on the line, inch perfect to come home for P16 in our first ever race in the aarava Archer Racing Formula 1 car. My word, that was a lot of fighting for not a lot. Driver of the day, Pierre Gasly, I mean, his dive bomb was still probably the best move of the entire day, but that was a tough old race and a reality check, really, of how tough this challenge will be in the My Team career, really.
Well, what a drive that was to take the win for Ferrari today. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection, a shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today and a stunning win for Ferrari.
So Leclerc wins it from Hamilton to Verstappen, and it will be a long old while till we join them on the top step of that podium, or even any step of that podium if today's race to go by. But to be fair, it's the very first career mode race on this game, so I can definitely say I'll definitely improve quite a fair bit of my pace. I feel like we lost a lot of pace in that second stint, just purely because I wasn't used to how the tyre was maybe going to perform or how the car was performing. Lost a bit of concentration overall, so expecting a better race maybe at Bahrain. You know, it is what the My Team career mode journey is all about. It's going to be a bit of a long journey. You know, we're talking at least 2 to 3 seasons to get this car up the road, but we've already obviously got upgrades on the way, and it's just great to get this first episode under our books. You know, it's been a very chunky first episode, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed the entire thing and have watched that entire thing through, and if you did, then be sure to smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Are you excited for more F1 2020 My Team career mode? And if you're new around here, then do get subscribed for more. Like I said, I'll be uploading this series every single day, so get subbed for that. But that's been episode number 1 then of my F1 2020 My Team career mode. The journey begins to Formula 1 champions today. I've been aarava. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.